That security guard in the mall or in your complex, it's carrying a gun. It's a public safety danger. Downtown, you talk about downtown Orlando. Downtown Orlando, it's crazy. The industry is a shit show.
We are out here in Lakeland, Florida at Valortec. Man, I tell you what, we're going to be speaking with the expert himself, Herfel Torres, right here. Science of Marksmanship, everybody. If you have questions about firearms, this is the man that you want to listen to. And we're going to be sitting down with him in just a few minutes. It's a little warm out here, so we're going to be doing it outside, everybody. You're going to hear some of the firearms going off in the background. This guy is the real deal. Stick around for this one. So, I mean, I guess if I was going to ask you a question, Herfel, here's what I would ask you. Science of Marksmanship, right?
Yeah.
I mean, not too many people decide to write a book on marksmanship. Walk me through how you become an expert, your passion for the industry. How does it all come about, bro?
So it all started in 1982.
Okay.
Okay. So in 1982, I actually had to take this 2-day class because I was joining the team for the shooting team in where I grew up in Puerto Rico. And you have to take these, according to the law, you have to take this training, safety, use of training, so you can join the shooting association, and for so on, you can go into the competition Olympic level things.
Mm-hmm.
Few years later, kind of like 2 years later after that, I am right-handed. Make a parenthesis there. So I had a bicycling accident because cycling is, one of my passions in life, and I amputated my index finger from my shooting hand. Then, of course, comes the part that I have to learn how to shoot with my left hand, have to learn how to shoot with my middle finger on my right hand. And then when I started back in the movement with my index finger, it was hurting. It was hurting so much because the part that all these instructors and so-called big, shooting legends tell you where to put your finger on the trigger, it was actually where the joint of my bones was, and it hurt a lot because I have reconstructive tissue on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, that's impossible. I cannot do 300 rounds a day with this thing. It's painful.
Yeah.
So I started shooting my own way. I started putting my finger all the way in the trigger guard and shooting like that. I didn't have any problem. I was, shooting exactly what I needed. And every time I would go to a class, they would go, no, your finger is off. You need to fix it. This is wrong. And I'm like, no, I cannot shoot like the way you tell me. I am an inquisitive person. I would say I'm a nerd. Some people think I'm a nerd, or always been a nerd. So I started doing some research about it. And then I went deep down. It's like, look, there's physics involved in this. I don't have to put my finger in there because the variable in shooting, it's not the gun or the firearm, it's the human.
Mm.
So you have a different size hand than me or than the next guy or like the other guy, but the firearm is still the same. So your hand placement, it's unique to you. So where you're going to put the trigger on your finger, it's unique to you. Then doing all these contortionist thing and create a sympathetic movement. So that's actually where all started. Then, of course, life evolved. I kept doing other things. But shooting has always been a part of my life. So I started dissecting everything. I taken classes where way over 100 instructors in my life. I can tell you my career started in 1982. So I started grabbing this education that I was getting, and I was questioning it. I said, well, why have to be a range myth? Why these people from, passing this information for 60 years, 50 years, 100 years, oh, this is how you hold the firearm. But then we have advances in physics, advances in biology, sports physiology, all these things. And why we do not incorporate that to also shooting. And for then on, I started writing small scientific papers on different facts or different parts of shooting,
Okay.
like stance or grip or vision, um, or movement when you address multiple targets. And one day, a very good friend of mine, he said, Herfel, why don't you put everything in just one book?
Nice.
And I went into that quest and was like, okay, let me grab all this, put it in one book. And as I was doing the research to put it in one book and merging that, I discovered new advances on scientific discoveries and Zoom and other stuff. And I'm like, okay, let's put this all together. And then the Science of Marksmanship ended up being born.
Beautiful. Okay, so Science of Marksmanship, who is it written for? Because somebody who's just beginning might think, man, you're too advanced when you talk about this stuff for me. Is it meant for somebody who's, let's say, an officer who's trying to go from intermediate to maybe an advanced shooter? Is it meant for somebody who's just beginning in the process, who's learning how to use a firearm? How do you approach the book and someone who, like, where does someone fit in that journey? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me who's it for.
So it's for anyone and everyone that wants to become better.
Okay.
If you have that inner fire that you want to perform better, that you want to be better at whatever craft you do, let's say in shooting, it's a Science of Marksmanship. Why? Because I dissected shooting from a purely scientific point of view. No range myth, no my veteran uncle told me, not my friend that he's a police officer told me how to gun. No, it's completely scientific, dissected of everything. How the muscles interact, how the biomechanical, how the muscle skeletal alignment, how your proprioceptors blow up when you implant nitric oxide in your nasal cavities. All of these other things, I put them there. If you want to be better, you have to learn the how and the why we do things.
Okay.
The more we know, the better we can do. So if you want to be better at it, this book is for you. The original goal of the book was to elevate other instructors up, because we found that there's a very big empty space in firearms instructor,
Okay.
especially not only in law enforcement or people with arresting powers, or government agencies, but also in the civilian side, which is actually a very unregulated industry.
Well, let me ask you this. You any good at shooting? Because, okay, there's going to be a guy who watches this who's like, Herfel, I mean, listen, I go to the range every week. I'm a great shooter. There's nothing that you could teach me that I haven't heard over my 20 years of being out on a range. I've been taught, maybe military police. Are you an expert enough that they should go, this is a guy to listen to? How good of a shooter are you? Or is that the wrong question, brother? Am I asking the wrong question?
Well, meaning the part is like, it's relative. Like,
Okay.
I measure myself with people that are like the top 10 in the world.
Okay, well, that's good.
So that's the situation. So if you ask me, meaning like one of my very good friends, his name is Gorka Ibanez. He's like 3rd or 4th in the world, meaning being in the industry for a younger guy. Manny Bragg, which actually this guy's been in the U.S. world teams multiple times. See, if I measure with them, yes, I don't. So it's relative to who you ask that.
Okay.
You and I, for our conversation before it, I can tell that you're very critical of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
As I am very critical of myself. I'm going to try to perform better every single day, and I'm going to look at how can I better that. But maybe the way I should answer that question, well, special operations in the government, they hire me to train those guys at their specialized units.
That says you're pretty good, I would say. I want to turn that question into, because the reason I said, am I asking that question the right way, is I believe, at least in my limited experience, there's a difference between us shooting a firearm right there and the typical situation people think of where a firearm may be necessary. And I'd like you to walk me through some of those differences, the nitric oxide, the rush of adrenaline, the things like that. You talk to me off camera about some things you do to get that blood pumping for people to make situations more realistic. But I want you to speak to that person really in a way, because I feel like there's a difference between taking our gun to a range, firing off a few rounds, putting it back in, getting in our car and going home, and then real training that could be valuable in real life. Talk to me about some of the differences there.
So, and that's one of the things that I'm very vocal about. It's especially with law enforcement. They do a qualification in the perfect setup. They're in a range. Maybe it's an indoor range or an outdoor range like this one. It's quiet. Nobody's screaming or yelling at you. You don't have any people running around. There's no shots being fired on your direction. There's a target there that doesn't move. And they tell, and the course of fire, they tell you, well, you have to put 3 shots on the right target, 3 shots on the left target. Then you have to take a knee, do a reload. It's all in a script. And the problem is, like, even in those perfect conditions, a lot of them barely pass.
Wow.
And that's okay. Now let's add all these other elements like adrenaline, running, being side effects of adrenaline. You get tunnel vision, foggy vision. Managing adrenaline in the system, it takes between 50 to a minute and a half. And the average shooting, according to Secret Service numbers, it's 45 seconds. So the shooting, it's over, and you're still not even managing your adrenaline.
Wow. And what happens when that adrenaline is pumping for people that they don't think about? And then second question to that, because I'm very interested in this, because you talk about it, is how can somebody, if there is a lot of adrenaline and what happens, how can they prepare for or best prepare for a situation like that, in your opinion, especially for a beginner out there?
So that's actually when, Science of Marksmanship comes from.
Love it.
And it's because we have to use what it's our natural movement, what it's actually something that it's archetypical to us. And I'm putting the Sunday words, breaking up the dictionary. It's those movements that they're natural to us. Not natural because I run all the time. No, it's how you run. Okay, we can discuss about, archetypes all around and how the bird makes the nest when nobody taught him how to make the bird. And back in the day, we saw it in psychology that the bird knowing how to make the nest, it was archetypical, but then we discovered later on it was genetic memory. So I'm not going to go that deep on it because probably a lot of people go like, oh, they get lost in it. But I am trying to, when you come to training or when we teach instructors of how to teach this to other people, to officers, to civilians, to military people, it's actually for them to learn how to implant this knowledge into a subconscious level of the student. Why? Because in the moment of emergency, everybody wants to rise to the occasion, but they end up falling to the lowest level of training.
You fall to your standard, perhaps? Is that way?
No,
you fall to your floor?
To the lowest level of training.
Okay.
That's period. So fundamentals are really advanced training. People think, oh, I know how to shoot, I know who advance. No. That's not. In the moment of emergency, you're going to go to your core fundamentals. If your fundamentals are how you walk, how you move. Like an example, you're a fit guy, you go to the gym. If you lift weights doing a muscle skeletal alignment that it's wrong, you get injured. Same way with shooting. You're in an emergency situation, you're not going to do this John Wick pose that you're going to be sideways or that other stuff, and this is how I defend myself. No, it doesn't work like that. You have a chain of muscles from, like, let's say your calf, your hamstring, glutes maximus, rector spinae, twisting you like a rubber band in all different directions, but yeah, it looks cool.
Yep.
So we're very vocal about it, and we want to really. It's not changing the industry. It's helping those instructors that when they teach other people like law enforcement or civilians or whatever, that those students are not public safety issues.
Okay, let's talk about the instructors. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about is this, I'm going to call it a gap in knowledge, or at a bare minimum, an inconsistency with instructors that are out there. You mentioned earlier there's not like maybe there is. Is there a set standard that everybody has to reach? Do you find that you see a lot of variance in how people are taught to shoot firearms or deal with firearms? And what are you doing, whether it be Valortec, yourself, Science of Marksmanship, to change that standard here in the state of Florida?
So you have a context and your viewers have context. The majority of instructors on the civilian side, I'm going to split this from, arresting powers, law enforcement, or government to the civilian side. Let's go in the civilian side. That's probably more of the interest of your viewers.
Good.
So the majority of those instructors out there, due to the bureaucracy of how we live in the civil legal society, most of these instructors, they go for one weekend, and they take a class. Maybe they know how to shoot before, maybe they found a passion on how to shoot. They go and they take this class, they pay $600 or $700 or whatever situation it is, and they become now instructors, that they get a certificate. Okay. So I think it's kind of like a gold rush type of thing. Remember, like back in the day, we had like the CrossFit saying, it's people go for a weekend, they become, I'm a CrossFit instructor, and all of a sudden everybody's getting injured.
Yeah, it's true.
That's the reality of it. But so in the firearm industry, it's happening the same thing. So I go for a weekend, get a certificate. Now I am the instructor. Now I'm going to wear a red shirt and I'm the authority in the range. No, you're not. Maybe this is the beginning of your path. You have to keep getting better. And then let's say that the organization that gave me a certificate, the certificate says that it's a basic pistol instructor. These guys, and I wrote an article about it, they get their certificate over the weekend. Then they buy a 4-pack of Wine Monster, 2 bags of Doritos. They spend the whole night on Sunday watching John Wick. And then Monday morning, they are the operators. They put a Punisher skull in their website. They start taking selfies, all the other stuff. And all of a sudden, they got, I am the God's gift to shooting. They don't know liability. They don't know vicarious liability. They don't know negligent entrustment. They don't even know ITAR, meaning those are federal regulations that we have on how we train, who we train. So it's a bigger perspective. And then they don't have that knowledge. Then they think, I have the knowledge. But then they end up in court. There's going to be a problem. I'm an expert witness. I work here for the courts in Florida. If let's say you took a class with Joe Blow, that is a firearms instructor advertised in the internet, and he's, I don't know, have 100,000 followers. That person maybe have a certificate from one of these companies, either the ones that they try to sell you insurance or the ones to try your membership or whatever it is, that it went for 4 days or 3 days or 2 days. They're going to ask you in court, so where's your training to use a firearm, use of force? And they're going to subpoena your instructor. And then the instructor is going to come and say, okay, so where are your credentials? I'm so-and-so instructor, and let me see the certificate. It says here just basic use, safe, and handling, but you're teaching combat techniques or CQB, close quarters, or stuff like that. How can you teach that when this is the curriculum that you're only allowed to teach? Or worse than that, you got people that, hey, Orlando is such a melting pot and a tourist destination. And, you got people from other countries that come here and they, there's guns in America. Let's go there. I want to learn how to shoot a gun. They look at your side. Let me sign up. All of a sudden, you're teaching a class to a person that is not a permanent resident or a citizen of the United States. That's an ITAR violation. That's a $500,000 fine.
There's probably a language barrier there too.
Well, not only that, meaning we can talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
But especially on other industries. But That's a problem. And
Yes.
nobody is really talking about it. Some of the agencies, they're doing some investigations, but they're not putting too much effort. And even when they called me and say, "Hey, Herfel, what do you think of that?" I was like, "Look, guys, you let slip 9/11 hijackers to train here in Embry-Riddle,
Wow.
and you didn't do anything."
Mm. Let's talk about some of the licensing and some of the
Yeah.
laws. At one time, I sold security contracts. You know, like those contracts, like the front gate of a community,
Okay, got it.
or was the company was Vital Security, okay, and investigations
That's
out of
fine.
Orlando.
We're not naming anybody.
Oh yeah, but I sold it for them.
Okay, got it.
So
You
good, they're a
did.
friend of mine. So hey,
Yeah.
cool. All right, great. And we would sell Class D officers
Okay.
and Class G officers
Okay.
for a higher rate, right? They
Yeah.
would, because the G officers you had to pay more.
Yeah, you have to explain to them what it's a D and a G.
G is armed, D is not armed.
Okay, got
That's the way I would look at it.
Got it.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
how-
exactly it.
there we go.
go.
My question to you is this. People who are live in apartment complexes, condominiums, facility managers, HOAs, they see these guys with a professional looking outfit
Mhm.
and a firearm that they are licensed to carry
Mhm.
on the job site. Is there anything they would be surprised to understand about how easy it might be for that person to get that G license? I'm very interested to know your opinion about the G license process in the state of Florida.
Wow.
Where do you start? Because I've been there. I've been out in Metro West Orlando, walking an apartment complex with a guy who got his G license, and he just gave us literally he got it the weekend before, and now he's walking around an apartment complex.
Okay. So where do I start? Meaning we can throw gasoline in the industry and match it up, literally. So with a very big knowledge of the industry,
Mhm.
I'm going to tell you that the industry is a shit show.
I was drinking a drink. I was expecting that one. I was expecting like a professional, like we need to work on this to make standards. Nope. It's just a shit show.
I get a lot of haters because I'm honest and I'm blunt.
Tell me why, though. Come on, walk me through it.
Look, first of all, is this. The industry, there's schools or academies or whatever they call themselves out there that the state gives them a license to perform these duties. Yes, the state looks at your curriculum and approve your curriculum and things that you have to teach. Yes, there is. But that's a very bare minimum. Okay? It's not like something that it would say, hey, it's safe. It's a bare minimum. There's companies that they help you make your curriculum. Those, I think that they have a more solid curriculum to give. I'm going to be honest with them. I'm not going to name them, but I think that they have a good product, and the information they have, it's great. But when the students look at that, they say, "Oh, this is really hard." And I'm like, "Look, you're going to be doing the job of a security guard in somebody's property.
Mm-hmm.
You need to know the law and what limitations you have. Then let's go into the G, that are the ones that have a license, which is actually a supplemental license. Many people go to take the G certification and have never fired a firearm. They even own one. There's security agencies that they send these students to the classes. Mm-hmm. Hey, I just hire you. I want you to get a G. I'm going to send you to this academy, and then don't worry, they'll pass you. The qualification for the shooting qualification, the course of fire for a G license in Florida, it's the easiest one in the nation.
What is it?
It's you have to shoot 48 shots from any different of distances. If you use reduced targets, it's going to be from 2 yards to 10 yards. From a 240, that it's a perfect score. You can pass it with a 168, it's actually 70%.
Wow.
Nobody's taking in consideration the drop in performance when you get adrenaline.
Oh,
That
yeah.
could be anywhere between a 25 to a 40%. And according to Secret Service numbers, and I'm going to quote them, expert policemen are 33% accurate during any active engagement. These are police officers that the Secret Service says expert policemen. And we got the cases, meaning we got Miami when they actually do the robbery on the jewelry store. They had almost 1,000 cartridges that they recovered from that. They even, killed the UPS driver. The facts are there.
Yeah.
So going back to the G, then you have people that come that barely speak any English. They don't understand the commands. And if you don't understand a basic command in a line of fire when everybody's in a quiet, close environment, I'm telling you, hey, you have to shoot 2 shots in the right target, 2 shots in the left target, and it's right there on the paper that you've been studying for the last few days. And then all of a sudden, are you ready? Yes. And you hear the beep, fire, and all of a sudden you put 6 shots on the right target. How many times I explain it? Meaning I speak multiple languages, meaning you understand my English. I hope everybody understands my English.
Oh, yeah.
It's in the book. You should read it. And don't tell me you're nervous because nobody's shooting at you. You're in the AC, indoors. You have ear pro. What's going to happen when you're in real life?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is very scary. That that security guard in the mall or in your complex that it's carrying a gun, it's a public safety danger.
Agreed. I've walked properties with these guys. Just talk to them. Some of these guys do not to be carrying a firearm.
No, not at all. And they should be a more vetted, meaning I'm up for everybody making a living and work. But look, if you're going to carry a firearm for part of your work, meaning you have to, look apart and you have to be proficient with it. So I made a proposal to the state to change the standard, just raise it to 10 points instead of 168 to 170, 169 to 168 to 178. So just like a few things here and there, like make English the official language. I have knowledge of academies that teach the class in Spanish or in Creole. Law enforcement is not communicating Creole when hey, stop, don't shoot, and all of a sudden I'm putting 5 shots in the other person. It's like they told you to stop. Oh, I didn't understand. What they're going to say, ñañi pani mayo, or something like that. It's not going to work. Then I want their state already has a licensing program for law enforcement instructors. It's called a K license. I want that to be expanded to the civilian market. So it's a base minimum of these civilian instructors.
I love that.
I think it's a public safety issue. It's not bad. So that means when you go and take a class with the guy that advertised, you know that he is at least vetted on a barely minimum for the state with a license and registration. So you're more protected, liable. Like if you have any legal recourse because you have to defend yourself and stuff like that, this person have to comply with a particular curriculum that the state already has in place.
Why would that not be accepted and promoted by everybody? Why would that seems common sense to me.
I have no clue.
Then again, we've been doing a lot of government stories. We can see why common sense sometimes doesn't
prevail.
But
I wrote, to multiple state people, to the department directors, to the governor, to governor candidates, to a lot, and I get, push out like a pinball. It's like, hey, ping, ping, here and there.
That seems extremely reasonable. I want to talk about something that I've heard, and I want you to kind of shoot me straight here, pun intended. Certain people
Yes.
that are, let's just take, I'm going to go 1 out of 3. I'm going to use a number here. I
Mhm.
could be making this number up. Are incapable of taking a life. That there are people out there, regardless of training, that may not be able to pull the trigger in a real world situation, even if their life was on the line. Have you ever experienced something like that? Like a person, do you believe they're out there and that they exist that need to look at non lethal options as well as lethal because they may not be mentally and physically ready to take a life that's in front of them, even if it was to save their life or somebody else's? I'm interested in your opinion.
So we can attack that in multiple ways. We can attack that from the psychological, sociological perspective. We can attack that from the basic archetypical survival instinct. We can talk that by the, oh, I have morals, faith, all the other things
Mm-hmm.
point of view. In basic instinct, we're animals. Every animal that it gets cornered and pushed into a situation, it's going to do either a fight or flight response. So you're either choose to fight or to just submit, and you're going to be, the victim at that day, or this, whatever the situation it is. Hope I hope in God nobody has to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a pleasant experience. Being in the middle of a shooting, it's not an easy reaction, and it never gets away from you, and it actually changes the way you train and the way you see life and all the other things. So once going to your thing, so we're hardwired with a self-defense mechanism in our subconscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what happens is, I'm going to give you a very clear example that pretty much everybody can relate. In Orlando, you have these parks, you go to a roller coaster.
Okay.
You go to a big roller coaster. Let's say you go to Hulk, and all of a sudden you go like, dun, 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 and you're in that moment before it launches. And what you do, you close your eyes for a second. You cringe. Okay. Then you open your eyes. Or, when you're like in one of those drop downs, you're like going up, 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 up. And when it starts going down, you actually close your eyes and then you open them. And a lot of the people, you can see this when the pictures that they take at the end, it's like, hey, oh, you close your eyes. Why you did that? That is actually a self-defense mechanism of our subconscious mind.
Okay.
We are actually, humans, conscious people, and we have values and morals. And what happened is, when we're seeing that danger that we're going to confront it, our subconscious minds closes our eyes so we don't imprint that image in our subconscious mind that later on can resurface.
Wow.
I'm probably, you never heard of this.
No, that's correct.
And nobody talks about this in the firearm industry. So what happened, that also brings on, and I'm going to make in a parenthesis there, of why people, when they're involved in shooting, could be officers, could be not, could be everybody, they miss so much. Because you're taking a life, and all of a sudden you actually do that, eyelid closing. It's like, doo, doo, you blink. Wow. And then all this, and a lot of things can happen. That's actually also why the science of marksmanship is important, because you're not using your eyes to do the aiming. You're using your musculoskeletal alignment to actually do the shooting and the aiming. But back in the part of when you were going that there, so they get scared. If they can take a life, it's very hard to look at somebody in the eyes when they have a gun pointed at you. There's a lot of changes in your body, and if you have to use a firearm, well, I mean, that's a whole different scenario. That situation, or that moment, it's particular and specific to that moment. There's so many variables. Like an example, if you're a conscious, responsible citizen, that you know the law, that you know use of force, they try to, kill you or whatever, and you're in a crowded restaurant, you have to think about it, because bullets don't stay in people. Like in the movies, you shoot 7-10 yards, bullet's gonna go through that body like a hot knife through butter, and you're gonna end up hurting other people. And then you're responsible for every projectile that leaves your firearm until it stops. So if it stops after going through somebody's refrigerator and somebody's killed the parakeet in the other apartment, you're responsible for the parakeet. people need education,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that goes back to the part of the instructors. So the lady that goes and does your nails, you have a great manicure, so whoever did it, it was great. You went there, you know.
You're talking like that. People are going to think you're talking about me. And I bite my nails and they're terrible. I don't have a manicurist or anything like that. You're going to think you're talking about me or something. Don't say that.
So no. So the person that goes to do your manicure,
Okay.
or they're going to do your massage.
All right.
That person goes through a school, spends so many weeks learning how to do the nail, the cuticle, be in a safe manner, stuff like that, the massage, and then applies for a license with the state. So you're telling me that can you die out of a broken cuticle?
No, of course not.
You know, what's the worst you can have about a bad massage? I'm sore for a week.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have bad instruction with a firearm, many people can get killed.
Yeah.
And it's not regulated.
Mm.
And, you know, you have to question. And it brings money to the government because
Mm-hmm.
these people need to go there. I mean, they up their licensing game, stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I see a win-win situation for everybody. But going back to where you were saying, you know, it's very specific to the situation that you're in.
Have you ever had somebody come through a school with you, a class, and you've looked at them and thought, this person needs non-lethal options because I don't think they're mentally capable of pulling that trigger? Or do you believe that given the situation, anybody can be taught to use a firearm if it's necessary for them? I'm just curious because I think there are some people, this is my theory, I think there are some people that believe that they are capable of using a firearm, that when push comes to shove, would hesitate more than what they believe they would.
Yes.
And they don't explore options like non-lethal because they may think it's beneath them, or they may think that it's ineffective per se. And I just want everyone to have the opportunity to have the protection that they're going to use, right?
Yeah.
I'm curious how you feel about that. You've seen so many students come through.
So,
I mean, you have so much more knowledge on this.
So one of the things of that is this. Of course, there's lethal, non-lethal options, and they're going to be specific to the situation that you are.
Okay.
Okay. Non-lethal option could be a high-power flashlight.
Point.
Okay. If you have a high-power flashlight in your pocket, you're actually depleting your eyes of a protein called rhodopsin, that it actually blinds you for a few seconds, whatever. I'm not going to explain all that. And that can give you a momentary advantage of like, hey, let me push this guy off and let me go run the other way. Okay. It could be that.
Simple.
Okay. I am not pro those non-lethal options that look like lethal options. Okay. So if you got one of those paintball guns that look like a real gun, or pepper ball gun that looks like a real gun, I am not up to that, because the criminal has a real gun. The criminal is already in drugs or motivated with his buddies or whatever it is, because the average home invasion is 3 people. So they're on that situation. And all of a sudden, I am going to grab a non-lethal option to deal with a lethal threat. What's going to be the first reaction when somebody throws you a punch? Meaning, the first reaction is you to throw a punch back or to move. So you encounter this person, he sees something that looks like a gun, he's going to shoot. It's the same thing that happens with police officers. They confront them with a BB gun. It looks like a real gun, meaning you have to shoot. What are you going to do? You don't know. Are you going to ask them, hey, Mr. Criminal, sorry, I'm trying to be polite because I went through this training that we have to be humane. Can you show me your gun and your pistol? I'd see if it's a BB gun or it's actually a paintball gun. It's not going to happen like that. It's going to be an exchange of cursing words that the officer cannot even respond to it because it's in a body cam. He has to be polite. And then he shoots the guy and he still be railed in court. So that's why it comes also that we were talking earlier. that a lot of these officers are afraid sometimes to actually, they don't feel safe because they're not being backed up.
Okay.
So back into the non-lethal. Look, there's plenty of non-lethal options, but you need to train with them.
There you go.
Anything that you use to defend yourself, you better train. Main thing that we see is that the biggest equalizer of force, it's going to be the firearm.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple. Meaning you're not going to counter-arrest the guy, breaking your door with an AK-47 with a pepper ball gun.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen. That guy already has drugs on his system. He's pumped up, all the other thing. And we have seen lately on the news, these people that get, 5-10 shots in the chest and they keep going because the body, medically, is going to stay pumping and kicking for around 8 seconds. 8 seconds is it's a ton of time in an engagement.
A minute ago, you mentioned something I had to ask you about today because I watch all these police videos. It's like what I do. Sergeant Curtis is this guy out of Las Vegas. Guy was on like the Theo Von show. I watch his stuff every single night, like on religion.
Okay.
I see all the videos that he dissects are body cam footage, right? And there are YouTube channels with millions of subscribers, and it's all just body cam footage. They're dissecting it, they're looking at it. We've talked about it, Anthony and I. I'm interested in your opinion on body cams, okay? Because I'm going to tell you, I sometimes have some real different opinions about them, like red light cameras. Sometimes I've looked at red light cameras and thought it was safe for that person to go through, but they slammed on their brakes because they didn't want to get a light or get a picture of their license plate and get a ticket. I wonder sometimes if body cameras do some negative to police work that is not discussed often enough.
Yes, there's multiple things to that, and technology have changed the environment of that, especially in the courtroom. Okay, today, pretty much everyone has one of these ones. Okay. And we see with social media growing and all that other stuff and the TikTok experts and the Instagram experts, something happens and what's the first thing that they go?
Right.
Let me record.
Even before they give CPR, they'll help a person. They're taking out the phone.
Yeah, they don't care about anything else. They're just getting their phone and recording. So before I go to the body cam part, what happens with that? It's, let's say you have an interaction. The police have an interaction like we see them in downtown Orlando pretty much on a daily basis now. And you have that situation. All of a sudden, you have 5, 6, 7, 8 guys recording. Or people, guys or girls, whatever. And I don't want to, recording. Now you have 1 angle, 2 angles, 3 angles, 4 angles that actually maybe one of them or none of them actually grabs the reality of the engagement. The body cam has, I know some body cams now, they're going to have biometrics on them. That's actually something that they're releasing into it. That was actually released at the last SOF convention. So for special operators, so they have that, so they can measure all those, biometrics. But you need to know the interaction. You need to know, hey, do I feel fear for my life? I'm looking at this point of view of the threat. Yes, it's very helpful, the body cam, but also it's an awakening for lack of training in other scenarios. So,
do you ever think that somebody who has a body cam on, okay, let's do it this way, let's bring it back to training. When they're training, an officer doesn't have a body cam on, I would say 99% of the time, ever.
No, there's times, depending on where he is, they'll actually put him with body cam, full gear.
I guess for me, that's where my question came from, is because if I'm committing, or if I'm doing something, I'm committing some kind of act, I'm shooting, and then you put a body cam on me, even just the thought that somebody is watching or it's replaying what I'm going to do, that's got to have some kind of effect on my mentality a little bit.
Yes, it does. So you have to be aware of that. That holds an accountability of that officer.
Mm-hmm.
Because back in the day, we would have a lot of abuse from either way. Meaning there was actually not only show of force from forces, but also you would have criminals that they would go in court. Oh, this officer hit me. And he hit himself with the wall, and the officer didn't have any recourse to defend himself. And they'll find some unscrupulous lawyer that will defend them, and all of a sudden the police department is paying so many millions of dollars to a criminal.
Yep.
So it goes both ways. It helps people accountable, but it also brings the point of view and the picture of the officer. That, in my opinion, they're very mistreated and marginalized. I don't know if that's the right use of words, but I see that the agencies and government can do a lot more for them.
Give me an example. What do you mean?
Meaning not only for the training, it's like backing them up. Meaning if I really look, meaning downtown, you talk about downtown Orlando. Downtown Orlando, it's crazy. It's a wild rabbit zoo. These officers, they need backup. They need help. Okay, look, if I am grabbing these two guys and they're beating themselves up and they're a danger, don't allow these other people to come and say, oh, you were violent, and all of a sudden give them, few $100,000 because I beat their kid. Meaning your kid should not be there. Your kid should not be using drugs and having an illegal gun.
Seems like common sense.
It is common sense, but somehow we lost it in many areas. So like I think departments and agencies and government should actually, and it's not backup, it's respect. They should actually give respect to law enforcement, the real respect they deserve, because they're doing a job that not a lot of people want to do. And they're doing it.
Right.
And a lot of the times they feel like, why I'm going to do this? When I go to court, whatever, they're not going to have my back. And you interview many police officers. You saw that.
I do. We've been critical of police departments here in Sheriff's Office, but we also show when they do things the right way. And I wish that was shown more, and I know you do too, is that it's good to be critical, right? And we should be critical. We should always learn from that. But oftentimes when police do it the right way, that doesn't get the same amount of views, comments, and interest. And one of the things in the promises that Anthony and I have made is when we see them doing it the right way, I want to highlight that as much as I highlight when things are done the wrong way. Because it seems like these guys get beat up over the head when there's a judgment call that has to be made within a split second. And then everybody wants to think they would know exactly what to do. But so many of these guys make the right decision the vast majority of the time. I mean, we're talking, the numbers are, I think, just staggering. Vast majority doesn't describe it.
Yeah.
And so what we want to do is definitely highlight the good, because I think it happens far more often. It happens far more often than what people believe. And it's a real testament to what these guys are capable of doing out there.
Yeah.
Because they're making split-second decisions.
Because the good doesn't get viral views.
There you go. That's it. Let's just call
That's a part. It's a yellow press.
Yep.
You got, back in the day, it was the newspaper. I'm going to put the bloody guts of the assassination, of the dismemberment of, the butcher of I don't know where. I'm going to put it on the front page of my newspaper because I would sell it more at the traffic light. And with social media, it's the same thing. It will not sell. It will not create that virality of clicks. It will not. But we need to celebrate, like really celebrate those great things that law enforcement do. We have to, because that helps them feel motivated and valued.
Heck yeah, agree with you.
And they will, my God, that would go amazing, but it doesn't happen.
Yeah, agreed. I have 3 final questions here for you.
That's fine.
Here we go. We're hearing shots in the background right here. One of the things that
we're not in Orlando.
No, we're not in Orlando, okay? But that was good. One of the things I'm curious about is ear protection. All right. Go to any range, everybody's either got it on or required to have ear protection on.
Yes.
Right? Now, last time I checked, anytime you're in a situation where a firearm is necessary to quickly, you're not putting ear protection on.
No.
How shocking do you think it is for some people when they're up close and they hear a firearm or they're forced to use it in, let's say, a home invasion, somewhere like that, when they haven't practiced with no ear protection on?
So that's interesting that you bring that up, because we were talking about that in a training that we're doing yesterday in Northport, Florida, south of Sarasota. You need to have a little bit of practice without a hearing protection. So you start having a little bit of that awareness of what's going to include that, deprivation of the senses, or, all that other stuff. You added the home invasion part.
Okay.
Home invasion. One of our recommendations for a home invasion is, first of all, people say, oh, I'm going to buy this shotgun for home invasion. I'm going to have these AR-15 or 300 blackout for home invasion. 300 blackout, for the people to know, it's a particular caliber of a rifle, high-speed bullet, with a lot of over penetration. So let's say you're in your apartment complex, basic drywall units, whatever it is. I decided to, because I saw John Wick using a 300 blackout, and I'm going to run it, and this is going to be my home defense gun. Something happens, you bring 300 blackout, you put some shots, it's loud as hell. And all of a sudden, you went through 4 walls that they're not yours. And all of a sudden, you end up killing somebody. You're responsible for that person that you killed 3 apartments down. Okay? Then you don't have any training whatsoever on handling a larger firearm, not a pistol, a larger, bigger size, through close environment. Okay? Let's go on there. So one of our big recommendations is, for home defense, next to your home defense firearm, whatever you decide to use, have a set of earpro, like those ones that look like headphones from, you should just have a set of that, electronic earpro. You can buy them anywhere, Amazon, anywhere, cheap, $30, $40 a pair. You put a set of those, you have bionic hearing. You're going to be like Jamie Sommers. You remember who Jamie Sommers is? No, the bionic woman.
Oh, okay. I know Karen told me.
Okay, yeah. So I dated myself there.
There you go.
So you're going to have bionic hearing. So all of a sudden, you put those, as soon as you hear something problem in your home, you grab your earpro that is next to your, home defense firearm, you put them on, light them up, all of a sudden you have this bionic hearing, and you hear the guy roaming in your stash of coins that you have in your crazy drawer in the kitchen, or you hear him petting your dog because you bought this big, gigantic Doberman and ends up being more like a lap dog than anything. Yep. So you can hear him because you know your home better than anybody. Mm-hmm. How many times you smack your toes in the corners of everything in the middle of the night?
All the time. So
you know it. So now you have electronic hearing, you have the advantage. That knowledge is one of the few things that lowers adrenaline. See where we're going?
I love it.
Now you can grab your firearm. Now you know where you are. Now you can shoot in your home without being deaf because of the shooting.
Interesting.
Just something that simple.
That's a great suggestion. You're right, because I'm thinking to myself, adrenaline starts pumping.
Yep.
Now I'm into routine. Now I put that on. Now my adrenaline starts to go down because I feel like I'm in more control of the situation.
Yes, and your knowledge, and you take a deep breath. So all of a sudden, when you
had a process.
Yeah, when you take that deep breath, actually you're
interesting.
Filling the pockets in your nasal cavities with nitric oxide. Then that nitric oxide dilate your blood vessels, and then your proprioceptors become more aware.
Wow.
So now you're creating a hyperesthesia of the senses.
I like this right here.
Sorry, I went to science.
No, I think it's great. That's something, that's such an easy fix and an easy thing to do to help. I love that right there. I have 2 final questions here for you, okay?
Yikes.
I want to talk about something because legislation, I know is something that is important to you.
Yes.
All right. And the final question I want to ask you about the business itself and how people get involved with it.
That's
right?
Fine, yeah.
But legislation, I
Mhm.
think about things, and you tell me what you're passionate about right now, one way or the other. Things you love, that you're trying to get past, that you believe more people need awareness of. And then, I'm asking a two-part question here, sorry.
That's fine.
Second is, everybody hears about stand your ground. It has been to Florida. It feels like in Florida, it's been since that, who was that guy? The big case in Sanford years back. The guy was walking, and he was a security guard or a night guard in a property.
He was homeowners.
Yeah,
What's called
like he was like a security guard, but for a community in Sanford.
No, yeah, he was like a volunteer. He was
Yeah,
a volunteer.
volunteer. What was that guy's name? I can't, but you know,
I know exactly what you're talking.
And so that one right there, like stand your ground since that time. I'm interested in that. But more, the first part of the question is legislation. What is happening people are not aware of? What are you passionate about? Give me an idea, and then stand your ground, the second part.
Okay, so I am very passionate about training. And I believe not as a public safety issue that training needs to be higher up. If we want to start, if the state wants to do it at the G level license first and then civilian side, that training needs to be leveled up and needs to be regulated and needs to be more dissected. It literally needs to be looked through a microscope. You see these guys putting videos online. Oh, you know, I'm a K license holder. K are the firearms, law enforcement firearms instructors, whatever for the state. And I'm teaching this class in South Florida. And you see them, they don't even have a holster. You are required to do that with a holster, with a retention holster. Even the state, some of these places are allowing to do the two targets that they have to shoot. They're next to each other in the same piece of paper. That defeats the purpose of multiple target engagement. Because I am just doing this.
You know, physically, you're not having to do that.
I don't have to move.
Right.
Meaning movement, it's so important in a confrontation. And visually, all the other stuff. So that's one of the proposals that I have. They have to establish that the targets need to be at least 1 yard, 3 feet apart from each other. It's super important. You know, training needs to be up, needs to be regulated, especially for the civilian side. The people out there, they think because they have a gun, they went and got a concealed weapons license. Oh, now I am ready to go. Now I can defend myself and defend my whole family. Look, you know, Patrick, when you learn 3 songs in the piano, does that make you a musician? No. When you get your driver's license, does that make you a Formula One race driver?
Nope.
So getting your concealed weapons license doesn't make you an operator. And these people think, oh, I have my concealed carry. And?
Yep.
You know, so training needs to be regulated. And how we start regulating the training? Through the instructors. Period. Language needs to be fixed. Now, so we live in the United States of America. So it should be taught in English, English only. Period. That's it. If you're teaching some basic class for some people that don't understand it, well, teach it. You can teach it on their language. I understand that part. But something for the state to get a state licensing, it needs to be in English. Because law enforcement, their language they're going to use to interact with you, it's going to be English. It's not going to be Spanish or Creole or Russian or whatever, or, you know, or Arabic. It's going to be English, period. Use of force, second part of your question.
Yes.
If you know the law, if you have an instructor that's passionate about it and he tells you about the use of force, you will walk the other way. Because you would know the legalities of it. Mm. And you would know that maybe when you're defending yourself and you get cleared of the self-defense stand your ground case, you're going to end up in a civil part of it. Oof. That can last years. Give you the example, Kyle Rittenhouse, the kid in Kenosha who was like, the guy was trying to hit him with a skateboard and he shot, meaning it was very big. Mm-hmm. So he got cleared of the criminal case, but he's still dealing with the civil. So stand your ground. Yes, you can stand your ground. Hey, I'm on my home, stand on my ground. But if you have a chance to retreat, why be the bravado saying? Meaning just live to die another day.
Great line.
That's the reality of it. Like we were talking about the example of what was it, South Florida?
Yes.
South Florida, in a parking lot of Kmart. Look, why I need to fight for a parking lot. There's plenty of them there. Just go grab another one.
Road rage.
Why you let your fumes go out there? See, that people, not, in my opinion, none of them were psychologically prepared to carry a firearm. Because why? Meaning, it's not a life or death situation. A parking lot, a parking space, it's a life or death situation? I don't think so. So why should concern about it?
Yeah. And somebody lost their life.
Yeah.
So that leaves my final question here. People who need to get more prepared, they need to be in a better, they need to get better trained.
Yes.
Right? There are, I see advanced pistol defense up here. Pistol fundamentals are right here behind me.
Yes.
Give me an idea of what you're doing here at Valortec. It's an amazing small business. We see people coming through. We can hear the shots behind us right now. What are you all building over here?
So Valortec, it's a women veteran-owned agency or business. We supply government entities with advanced training. And then we have a civilian side. The civilian side, we are bringing the science of marksmanship to the classes, that experience that other people don't have on the industry. Also, we bring the legality of what we offer, as we are being licensed in the state of Florida, not only as an academy, but also as law enforcement instructors. Because all that is very important if one of our students have to end up in court.
Absolutely.
Okay, who train you is extremely important when you end up in court. And we actually, on the civilian side, we have multiple classes. We have pistol fundamentals. It's really not that fundamental, but we call it fundamentals because we understand that the fundamentals are really advanced.
Because that's what everyone gets reduced to. I love when you said that earlier.
So we take that, then we have an advanced class that is like 2 days, that actually what it does is it really dissects those fundamentals. And you're like, instead of going like an hour in every module, meaning you're going to end up like 2.5 hours in every module, whatever it is. So you're going to pinpointing everything. We have even night classes, which actually you're going to shoot in complete darkness out there. No night vision, no. Guys, for the guys that have their night vision gear, there's other classes out there. We don't teach that stuff. The reason that we teach for civilians a night class, it's because when you are leaving the movie theater with your wife or your girlfriend or your boyfriend in the middle of the night, you don't have your night vision on you. Yep. You have to deal with a reduced light, rhodopsin in your eyes gets depleted, all these other things, and you have to react and manage that. So we do it plain, blank darkness. You can have a weapon-mounted light or a regular flashlight that we recommend. There's actually, it depends on the situation. We like or don't like the weapon-mounted light. That's actually the flashlight that it would put under the gun, depending on what it is. So we do that. We do rifle. We do shotgun. We do qualifications for the state for G for additional firearm, regular firearm. All that other stuff. We have a cadre of instructors with great reputations. Careers. Meaning, what else I can tell you? I mean, we really want to change the industry.
I think
we really want to change we want to bring up the level of education so we have better informed, responsible citizens.
Yeah. I don't think anybody could disagree with that. Shoot, I got to ask this one final question. Okay, I'm sorry, my bad. I know I'm short on time.
Nah.
I got to ask one more.
That's right, that's fine.
Because I told myself I was going to ask this to you.
Okay.
All right. Is there one movie, when you watch it, that has the most realistic shootout that you've seen? Like, you're like, that actually is like, they did a good job of portraying that, or are they all just a bunch of BS?
Wow. So, look, so I'm going to give you, we do and we have done, support and what's called a consultation to to TV networks and movies and
Really?
stuff
Okay,
like that.
cool. That's cool.
So it's very different what you portray for the camera because you need these particular angles of it to what it's really doing the shooting.
Okay.
There are few movies out there with few scenes that actually are pretty good. The one that it comes to my mind right away, it's one that is being used in training, actually, believe it or not, even at government level.
Really?
It's actually the street shooting scene of Heat.
I knew. I felt like that was going to be it. I knew it.
That little piece right there, it was great. There's another little beat in a Miami Vice episode who one of the experts in shooting from the time, did a Mozambique drill. The only thing, it was kind of funny because at the end he did this competition thing where he unloads his firearm and put it back before he walks away. Meaning in real life, you shoot somebody, you're not going to unload your firearm. You're just going to keep it loaded and keep going. So he went into his competition mode, whatever, but it's a great deal. Then there's a movie with Tom Cruise that he has like gray hair.
Okay.
And he's in a suit. I forgot the name of it.
Uh-huh.
And he does a very similar scene when he's fighting. I forgot the movies with that black actor too. I forgot the name of it. And he does this defensive situation scenario, and that's actually very good.
I'm surprised you didn't say John Wick.
Meaning, look, I have a lot of respect for Keanu. Actually, Taron, it's a great instructor.
Okay.
Actually, the first year I got nominated for best firearm instructor in the nation. Taron won, and we were sitting next to each other.
Wow.
So he's a great guy. But he teach movie people, meaning I teach law enforcement.
Yeah.
So and military people, meaning I teach the people that defend our nation.
Love it.
It's a little bit different. But Keanu Reeves in the industry, he has done the training. He has done the work. He go there, does his full immersion saying, try to portray everything as best as he possibly can. He does a great job. I think he has done a great favor and job for the industry as people are motivated to like, hey, now I want to learn how to shoot. Now I want to train. Now I want to learn this stuff. But like Hollywood brings misconceptions of everything, it also brings a misconception on some of the techniques that are portrayed there because they're portrayed for the camera, not portrayed for what in real life should be.
I love your perspective on that, though, that it brings attention to the industry, and that in of itself is a great thing because it brings people to your doors to be able to learn to do it the right way.
Yes.
Right? Herfel Torres, everybody. The book is The Science of Marksmanship, all right? We will put some links below for everyone. I appreciate you taking the time today, brother.
Hey,
I know
man.
we had a lot we wanted to get to, and I got some great stuff here. So thank you for having us out here.
Yep.
You've got one hell of a facility out here in Lakeland. We'll put all the information right here below.
Yeah, that's one of the ranges that we use for training. Like I said, we train all around Florida. We actually even go for government jobs all the way to Virginia and Texas.
I have a feeling there's going to be some people who want to hire you from watching this. Thanks, bro. I appreciate it.
Hey,
Man.
no problem.
Thank you
Take
very
care. Have
much.
a wonderful
Appreciate it.
one.
Always. Thank you very much.